Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video from Dimensional. I am Nolan Barger, joined here with
Isaac Hammaker.
Guys, we have a huge announcement today.
We do. We hit 10,000 YouTube subscribers.
10,000 guys, 10K.
That's a ton of people.
Amazing.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much. That's all you guys.
Oh yeah.
We have
literally
you to
done
thank.
Nothing. Yeah, we have you to thank for all of that.
So thank you so much, and it really does help by clicking that button. So please like and subscribe our stuff.
Yep.
Again, thank you so much. Absolutely blows my mind.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I barely know probably 100 people.
Yeah, me too. I can't even imagine 10,000 people.
That's
so
crazy.
Y'all are the best.
And it's really encouraging to know that you guys really care. I mean, every single one of our videos gets over 1,000 views at least.
Yeah,
and that's
awesome.
That's really just encouraging to us, knowing that people are listening and engaging with our content and hopefully learning a lot.
Yeah.
That's what we're really here for.
Yeah, we're here for you guys. We want to provide content that's helpful for you, and seeing that we have 10,000 subscribers, that people are listening to our videos, that's really encouraging that people are out there listening.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Kind of what we wanted to do too is not just a thank you guys, but we also just wanted to tell you a little bit more about ourselves and just kind of things that we both find fascinating that are unique to us in these more paranormal kind of topics.
Yeah.
And you'll probably kind of see that as we continue doing more videos, you'll kind of see, he likes that or he likes that.
You may have seen that already, but as time goes on, it's more obvious, obviously. So
yeah. So we're going to do that, and then we're just going to kind of just talk about how we became a podcast in general.
Yeah. And how we got to where we're at in the podcast.
So Isaac, with you, what is something in the paranormal that kind of fascinates you and that you're kind of interested in?
Drawn towards? Yeah, I'm drawn towards like these stuff like giants, stuff like Bermuda Triangle. I really like or find interesting the like ghost ship stories, stuff like that. That's maybe ghost ship doesn't qualify as this, but like it's paranormal but not as crazy as the rest, like giants. Like I think there were giants. I don't know that there are today. But the idea that there are stories of them being alive today, stuff like that's really fascinating to me. And stuff that's, I say more normal, it's not really normal, but less fringe, I guess. Yeah. So I find that side interesting. Stuff too, like when theories can possibly be explained with like quantum physics, like that's really fascinating to me. Like the Bermuda stuff, the stuff with the Bermuda Triangle. Some people think there's a lot of like wormholes, quantum physics involved there, which is interesting to me. I find that possible, maybe. I feel like that's a reasonable explanation. But
there's a lot to be explored there. So I kind of feel like, I mean, I know I've known you for a long time. That's always kind of been, you've always been interested in like the giants, the quantum entanglement, and I think you've liked medieval kind of stuff, so like the vampires and stuff like that, and ghosts, and more of that kind of genre and side of our topics and things. For me, probably you guys already know this by now, but I'm definitely more into the UFO side and extraterrestrial type side, along with cryptids. So Bigfoot, Goatman, Dogman, all that kind of stuff. I find it fascinating, especially with talking more specifically about UFOs, that we can trace back ancient history, and you can find evidence for UFOs going all the way back to Egypt and leading all the way up until the present day. I don't think that's a coincidence, and that's why obviously we've done podcast episodes on UFOs and really what's going on there. And so I've always found that extremely fascinating, but there's still more that needs to be researched, discovered, because it's an active phenomenon.
It's still happening today. It's not just a historical thing.
And it's definitely something that I could foresee taking place a lot more in the future, and affecting the way people look at Christianity. So I think it's a very important thing to research and kind of just bring to everybody's attention. So that's kind of like what I've always found.
We kind of have our own categories. And like you said, you'll kind of see that work its way out a little bit. But
it kind of helps too, because if we both liked the same things, it would just get kind of boring. But we each are very unique and kind of have our own way of looking at things.
And even just because we're two different people, we have different perspectives and experiences that it's like, I may make connections that he doesn't make, or vice versa. It's like, that reminds me of this that maybe you haven't heard of or I haven't heard of, or made a connection with it. We can have interesting conversations like that. Like that's really neat to have, and
that's obviously what a podcast is. I mean, it's multiple people, usually coming together, and it's having a discussion about something.
And it's just more fun that way.
It is. But yeah, so kind of how did we kind of start our podcast? I mean, it's been over a year at this point. But Yeah, how do we really kind of get there?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it wasn't like a this is when we did it kind of a thing, because we've had these conversations for a while, and we've talked about stuff like this, and then at some point we were talking about things. There was like 2 other people in the car, and someone mentioned like we could do a podcast on it, and it was like that'd be cool. And then it was kind of like a cool idea, but never really thought about it much. And then as time went on, we kept talking, obviously, and then we're like, that we actually could.
I kind of think that it kind of really began to get serious in like November and December of 2023.
Yeah.
It was when we were kind of getting some equipment, really kind of starting to look into, the podcast providing platforms and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because we recorded our first episode in December of 23, I believe.
Yeah.
So it was shortly before that when we actually started thinking about it. And it was even after that before we actually got the whole set up the platform stuff.
Yeah, which took a while.
It did take a while. It's not necessarily hard. There's just you have to know.
Yeah.
And so we had an episode recorded before we had all that figured out yet.
And it's just funny too, just to kind of look back and kind of see where we've kind of come since then. Like obviously, we've both talked for a really long time.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I've read about this kind of stuff for years, but then kind of just seeing coming out of that to then starting a podcast, and then just also how our podcast has progressed in just the past year or so has been interesting, because it's our very first episode was the Missing 411, which was probably our worst episode that we ever did. But then I think another important thing to talk about is kind of what we're wanting to do and what we hope that we're doing.
Yeah,
with
what
our
we're trying to do here.
And I think it's just more bringing a more in-check biblical spiritual awareness to Christians and non-Christians.
Yeah, absolutely.
To the spiritual warfare that we do live in every single day, that the Bible clearly talks about.
Yeah, we present it to Christians, but it applies to everybody. Yeah. We kind of speak specifically to Christians because a lot of the Christian community just shuns the idea whatsoever. It's nothing's real, aliens don't exist, all that stuff, Bigfoot can't be real. That isn't necessarily helpful. Yeah. That you don't even have to believe it, but to be able to talk about it, to be able to have conversations with people about it. Because people will ask. We've had court hearings?
Yeah.
Court hearings about UFOs. It's people are going to be talking about it. People at work have asked me about it. You have to be able to have conversations other than just shutting them down immediately, because that's not always helpful. Oftentimes not helpful.
1 Peter 3:15 clearly tells us to have an answer to every man of the hope that is within us. So that is commanded in Scripture.
Yes.
And so we are to have an answer for anything. And obviously, what's really great about these topics is they very much do lead towards the gospel.
They're supernatural and oftentimes even spiritual topics. People think about these things in a spiritual sense a lot of times, in our age especially. And so
it's already a very a win-win situation. If you have an answer for this, you're able to engage someone. Maybe they won't believe you, but at least you will be able to get the gospel to that person.
And they know going forward, they know that if they have a question, you can talk about it.
Yeah.
That you won't just shut them down immediately. It opens up more conversations, even just about other things, about religion, about whatever else, that if you just shut them down immediately when they're talking about aliens, UFOs, Bigfoot, whatever, ghosts, then if you shut them down, they're not going to want to talk to you about religion. They're not going to be, hey, I saw this online. What do you think about that? Things like that I've had people talk to me about, that not saying they wouldn't, but they're going to be a lot more hesitant. Just like I would. If I was talking to someone about something I experienced and they're just like, oh, it's made up, it's fake, you're a liar, or you just misunderstood. Maybe that's even true, but that mentality, I'm not going to go to someone with questions about other serious things. Yeah. Because
you've kind of just severed that relationship with that person instead of really just working with them, and maybe something that they're mistaken about. Yeah. Or maybe something that really did happen to them.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we're here for. We want to bring awareness to these conversations are going to happen. Yeah. And they should happen.
Yeah, and
even if you, like I said, you don't even have to believe that aliens exist or Bigfoot exists. You don't have to believe everything we say we believe, but we want people to be open to having conversations about it.
Yeah. So. And I think another thing too is that's kind of our first goal. But then our second goal is speaking directly towards Christians and being I've had so many Christians say this, and I was actually talking about it to your brother last night. It's the false idea of, oh, well, Jesus died on the cross, and so Satan's been defeated.
Yeah.
Demons and Satan don't do anything anymore. And me as a Christian, I have God, I have my Bible, I have the armor of God, and so therefore I'm protected against everything.
So nothing could ever happen.
So I was actually telling your brother, I was like, that in of itself is a temptation, is a spiritual attack.
That's an error theologically.
From a supernatural source. And it looks different for all kinds of people. Some people are targeted different ways. Satan and demons are very much more active.
And they're very smart. Like you said, they target different people. So I haven't experienced anything supernatural. I have other temptations though. But we don't want to deny that demons and Satan aren't at work. Even just in quote normal temptations, that they do work and they do put things in front of us as Christians. They would tempt us, and sometimes that is the spiritual stuff, the supernatural stuff. But sometimes that's just
every day
you see a billboard and you're tempted for whatever, whether that's betting or greed or sexual sin or just pride. That there's so many things that we can be targeted for aside from the supernatural.
And we just want to just kind of just bring this to light to Christians and be like, don't fall in that false idea of basically being prideful and thinking that you are protected, because at the end of the day, when we just expect God to protect us, we should pray for that. But that shouldn't just, we shouldn't just immediately just assume that.
We know as Christians God will carry us to the end. That doesn't mean it won't be hard.
And the Bible literally says that you will endure trials and tribulations.
And that doesn't mean, like we've said before, that doesn't mean you're going to experience these supernatural things. We all have our own trials and tribulations, but that very well may be the supernatural stuff. And I
know plenty of Christians who have the supernatural stuff. And so our podcast is here for those people who are experiencing that and kind of ministering to them and being like, here's what you can,
here's some answers
to
and
that.
some clarity that you can find rest in.
And then it's also for the people who aren't to more just bring a more spiritual awareness to you and be like, what are those temptations in my life that I need to fight more and fight better, pray about more. And I know and for me in my spiritual walk in the past couple of years, just with doing our podcast and I mean going back at least 5 years doing research and stuff, I've really grown spiritually in that awareness of realizing temptations, they're no joke. They're there because demons are trying to lead me away from God. That is their ultimate goal. And if I don't pray, if I don't read my Bible, if I don't have that awareness of the supernatural warfare.
If you're not putting on the armor of God, we're going to fall.
So,
and like I said, God will carry us to the end. But that doesn't mean we can't fall. And so we have to be very diligent. And when you have the mentality that demons aren't at work, they don't tempt us, that absolutely we have temptation in our own flesh, but there is, like, we fight against the world, the flesh, and the devil. That's three different things working against us. We don't want to deny that any of them are working against us, because you deny that they're at work, then you're vulnerable to their temptation because you don't think it's there.
So that's kind of just our mission in general, and we hope that we are meeting that. And we've really been enjoying doing it thus far, and it's helpful and encouraging again to see 10,000 subscribers just on YouTube, and knowing that we have that many people that we are reaching with answers.
That is awesome. That's awesome.
And hopefully you guys are learning a lot. And so, again, thank you so much for all of that. And
if you have any questions, send them in. We love questions. We love topic suggestions, anything like that. Let us know. We would love to have some listener interaction.
Listener interaction would be great. The best place to do that would be either you can comment on our YouTube videos, you can find us on Instagram at Dimensional Podcast, you can send us direct messages through there. You can also become a Patreon member, contact us directly through there. You can send us an email. You can find our email on our YouTube page. So
we're also on Facebook. There's not a lot of people on Facebook, but if that's more practical for you, it's there. You can message us. You can follow our stuff there.
So thank you so much for the 10,000 subscribers. And we are looking forward to what is going to come next in the future.
Y'all are the best.
Thank you so much. See ya.